It was a crisp autumn afternoon when I received the first text from my daughter. After 8 long years of silence, the message was simple. "Hey, Dad, it's been a while. Can we meet up?" I stared at the screen, my heart pounding in my chest. 8 years of unanswered calls, unopened birthday cards, and UNR returned voicemails. 8 years of being cut off by my own children after the divorce from their mother who had cheated on me with my closest friend, and now out of nowhere, they wanted to meet. I couldn't help but wonder why. Why? Now what had changed? I agreed to meet her for lunch, my mind racing with a mix of hope and suspicion. When I arrived at the restaurant, I saw her sitting there with my son. They looked older, more worn, but still familiar. My daughter smiled nervously, and my son gave me a curtain nod. We exchanged awkward pleasantries, and they began to talk about their lives, how hard things had been, how they missed me, how they regretted the distance between us. But then, almost inevitably, the truth came. Out their mother had squandered the settlement money from the divorce. The house was gone, and she was struggling. Financially, my son had lost his job, and my daughter was barely making ends meet. Suddenly, I wasn't just their father, I was their lifeline. I listened quietly, nodding in the right places, but the disappointment settled deep in my bones. They didn't want me. They wanted my money. I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms, and said, "I tried for years to be in your lives. I begged for a relationship, and now when I have money, suddenly you remember I exist." Their faces fell and they protested, saying it wasn't like that. But I knew better. I spent years in boardrooms negotiating deals, reading people's intentions, and I could see the truth in their eyes. I stood up, dropped a few bills on the table for the check, and said, "I wish you both the best. But I'm not a bank. If you ever want a real relationship, you know where to find me." And with that, I walked away for the first time in years. I felt a sense of freedom. I had spent so long chasing after them, trying to prove my love, trying to make them see the truth about their mother and the divorce. But now I realized I didn't have to prove anything to anyone. I had rebuilt my life from the ground up after the divorce. And I was thriving. I owned multiple properties, had a successful career, and was finally starting to enjoy life again. I didn't need their approval or their love to feel whole. But as the days turned into weeks, I couldn't shake the guilt. These were my children. After all, I had raised them, loved them, and dreamed of a future where we would always be close. I thought about the birthdays and holidays I had spent alone, the messages I had left unread, the gifts I had sent that were never acknowledged. They had made their choice all those years ago, and I had made mine, but still a part of me wondered if I had been too harsh, too quick to walk away. Then one evening, my phone rang. It was my daughter. I had hesitated before answering, unsure of what to expect. "Dad," she said, her voice is softer than before. "I just wanted to talk. No money, no favors, just talk." I paused, my heart tightening in my chest before responding, "Okay, let's talk." We met at a quiet cafe, and this time there was no pretense. She spoke openly about her struggles, her regrets, and how she had let our relationship slip away. She admitted that she had believed her mother's version of events for so long that she had refused to see my side of the story. Now, with time and perspective, she saw how unfair she had been. I listened, really listened for the first time in years, and when she finished, I said, "I never stopped loving you, but I couldn't keep chasing after someone who didn't want me in their life." She nodded, tears welling in her eyes, and said, "I know, Dadand. I'm sorry. It wasn't a magical fix, but it was a start." We sat there for hours talking about everything and nothing. She told me about her struggles, her dreams, and the mistakes she had made. I told her about my life, the journey I'd taken to rebuild after the divorce. It felt foreign at first, but slowly the walls began to come down. A few weeks later, my son reached out. He was more hesitant, more stubborn. "I don't know how to do this," he admitted over the phone, "but I miss you." We met for coffee, and like with my daughter, there were no demands, no expectations. Just two people trying to mend what had been broken. Hestel held on to some of the anger from the past, but he was willing to listen. Now, And so was I. Over time, we rebuilt what we had lost. It wasn't easy. There were awkward conversations, unresolved hurts, and moments of hesitation, but there were also genuine laughs, deep discussions, and a newfound understanding between us. As for their mother, I never asked, and they never volunteered. Information, that part of my life, was closed, locked away with the pain and betrayal I had left behind years later when I looked at my grown children sitting around my dinner table. I realized something: money had brought them back, but love had made them stay, and that in the end was all that mattered.